All right, welcome back to it. So here's a question.
Jinx,
Can I remember
give me a Coke. You'll probably get me a Coke.
Probably look at you, Coke.
You probably have supplied me with a lot of Coke in there.
I probably have, especially on
I
date
forgot.
nights.
I'm playing with it, which is probably
The audio. Apologize for the audio. Amber's forgotten where she is. Okay, it's my turn to ask the question, right?
Yep.
So here's the question. It's actually a question we've already asked you, so it won't be too much of a surprise. But I liked your answer, and so we're going to elaborate on it. So you are learning and studying about therapy and therapy treatments, right?
Mm-hmm.
The question I asked you before was, when you're doing therapy, is it a good idea to share personally, if you have personal experiences that relate to what they're doing, is that a good idea to share that, or should you not share it and just only talk about kind of general things in purpose? And to make it not just so it's therapists, same question applies if you have a friend that comes and talks to you about something that expresses a challenging concern or a struggling event. Is it best to share your own experiences to make that connection, or is it best to stay focused on them and not take it away from and share your own experiences? So there you go. Asking the professional.
wow. So, first of all, I would say there's a fine line between one-upping and making your story more important or more valuable than the person trying to share an experience with you. So I think that you'd have to be very aware of, first of all, probably why they're sharing. Like if they're coming to you looking for advice, or, you know, if they're coming and they're like, oh, this funniest thing just happened to me, and then they tell you their funny thing and you can share your funny thing, and then
Yeah, this is more of like
right.
sharing
I'm like, you've got to be aware
a negative thing.
of
One-upping.
yeah. And then you also have to be cautious of, because they're coming to you for empathy and some understanding and some, hopefully, and maybe advice. I don't know, maybe just empathy and understanding. I think another question to ask them first would be, are you coming to me just, do you want opinions and advice, or do you just want a listening ear and a crying shoulder, or a shoulder to cry on? Because I can do either. A crying shoulder.
Here's my crying shoulder.
So like it just depends so much on the situation. But I do think at the same time we're given our life experiences so that maybe we can use those experiences to help others. I really strongly believe that. That's and we talked about it, like it's a hard one. I think a lot of it depends on who you are as a person or a therapist. Like some of our therapists in our office are a little more free with sharing personal experiences, and some of the therapists in my office are a little closer to the vest on their personal experiences, and they're both great. Or they're all great. We have 5 therapists in our office. But I think one thing that I'm assuming is what's going on behind closed doors is they also cater their responses based on the person coming to them. Because I think there's some people that come in and they want to come to a professional who's gained knowledge and who's gained, who's studied all the modalities of different therapists, and they have this huge knowledge base, and a lot of patients or people want to hear your knowledge, not necessarily your personal experiences. God, like this could go a million ways, but that's like in a therapy office. If your friend comes to you, because chances are most of it, it's going to be a friend coming to us, not like
yeah. Unless you're an actual therapist, it's probably going to be a friend.
Mm-hmm. And even as an actual therapist, I think you'd have to be very cautious when a friend comes to you, to kind of gear if they're coming to you as a friend or if they're coming to you as a therapist, I would think. I'm not sure because I'm not one yet, but I'm almost one.
Well, and the other thing is, if somebody's going to a therapist, they are looking for that professional experience, and that therapist, even though they may not have experienced all of that, probably should know about the situations,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
When you come to a friend, I think it's good to make that connection so that you can go and say, at least I kind of understand your situation.
I think even if I think it's perfectly okay to say I don't understand your situation, but I understand you're hurting.
Yeah.
Because I think
It's
I
true.
look at my friends and some of the situations they're in, and I think I don't understand
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
But I do understand that you just need somebody to understand that you're in pain right now.
Yeah. I know that, like, I went to some of my coworkers, and my mom just passed away, and so when I told them about that, a few of them said, I just went through that with my parents just a little while ago. I know how hard it is. And they didn't elaborate and go and try to take it off and talk about their experience. But knowing they had experienced something similar, when they said, I feel,
So
empathy,
sorry for your
yeah,
loss,
you're trying to express their empathy, they understand that connection. I know that that's sincere because, hey, you've gone through a similar thing to it.
Right,
And so
right.
I think there is times where that can be really helpful, but I agree with you. You don't need to, well, you don't want to try to turn it to you, but then also you don't need to, it doesn't need to be a huge connection or anything like that. Just something that says, I understand what you're talking about. So when I do give you empathy, it's coming from sincere empathy.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know, it talks about in the scriptures that the Savior suffered all so that he could empathize with us and know how to succor his people. So I that's part of why I really strongly believe, like when I would go in and do Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep sessions.
Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep sessions are when there was a new stillborn baby, and everyone would go and take pictures of the baby and the parents for free as a charity kind of thing.
Right,
So anyway.
it's a great nonprofit organization throughout the world, throughout the United States at least. I think there's some international ones. Anyway, but to be able to go in, and you'd have to really read the room too. Like, you don't want to go in and be like, hey, I've had this happen. But
Mhm.
a lot of parents, they look at you almost like, what do I do now? Or is it okay that I'm crying so much and I can't control my crying? Or some of them will come right out, and I've had some of them come right out and ask, have you had to deal with this loss or this kind of a loss? Or a lot of the photographers in the organization have signed up for this organization because they've experienced loss. But I never would go in and, hi, my name's Amber, I've had this happen too. And because that takes away from them. But I do think a lot of people, I would go in and they just look so lost. And just knowing, like, it's absolutely okay that you're going to cry off and on for 30 years. There are still days where it just hits me wrong. Or it just hits, and that's okay. And I'm here, and you can cry. I'll talk as much or as little as you want. I can give you as much or as little advice as you want. So I do really strongly think, and even in a therapy office, I would dare say, knowing that your therapist is human to a degree carries a lot of weight. Like, in one of my therapy appointments, with my personal therapist, one day we do telehealth, and one day it looked like he was at the hospital, and I was like, what's going on? He's like, in a waiting room. Oh, my wife's having a baby. And I was like, first of all, go take care of your wife having a baby. My
problems aren't quite that bad.
Right. But then I was like, oh, so it's probably the first glimpse of like any personal that he shared. He's really, really good at. But it was like, oh, so he's got a wife and he's got kids and he's there, and she was in preterm labor. So I think they were actually trying to stop the labor. So I think they'd probably stabilized her for a minute, but it did kind of humanize him and be like, oh, so when you're giving me advice in my marriage or as a mom or a wife, you're also living with a family and a wife, and
makes a difference.
Yeah, humanizes your.
Cool.
Yeah. So I don't know if I answered your question.
I think you did. Good job. No, I thought that was we talked about that, and I thought that would be a good good one to elaborate. And I think it is different between therapists, just kind of a friend, but I think there's still some similarities and connections. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Okay. See you next time.